Buried treasure. Michael and his sister Anna climbed the stairs to the attic. Their family had moved into an old house a week before. The porch sagged like a droopy smile, and the window shutters hung like crooked teeth. Michael opened the door at the top of the stairs. Their mother wanted them to clean the room. He stared at the dusty boxes piled against the wall. This will be the perfect place to play games, Anna announced. She twirled across the floor, ignoring the spider webs. We can paint the walls yellow. They are full of cracks, Michael said with a sigh. Anna had big ideas, but he was more practical. Let's get this job done. Okay, Anna agreed. She brought 2 boxes down before she stopped again. Look what I found in this old tin box, she squeaked. Her brown eyes sparkled with excitement. It is a treasure map. Michael took the faded paper from her hands and studied the scribbled pictures. Some little kid drew this years ago. You will not find that treasure anymore, he said. I might, Anna argued. It is a waste of time, Michael said. Anna did not listen. She slipped the map into her pocket. After lunch, Michael went outside to shoot baskets. Anna kept dashing past him like a flash of lightning, clutching the treasure map in her hand. Finally, the muscles in his arms started to ache and he headed inside. His sister was sitting down in a kitchen chair. How's the treasure hunting? Michael teased. I wasted my time, Anna mumbled. Michael opened his mouth to agree, but the words caught in his throat. His sister looked like a balloon after it had lost its air. Her face was sweaty and her mouth was turned down. Let me help, he suggested, picking up the paper. Really? Asked Anna, jumping up like a spring. A moment later, they stood outside staring at the map. I could only find one tree, Anna said, pointing to a small pine near the steps. Michael looked at the tree and grinned. That is not the right tree, he explained. It is on the wrong side of the house and it is only a few years old. There is a big stump on the other side. A tree on the map must have been cut down. Michael felt his heart pound as he got caught up in the excitement. At any moment he felt as though he would stumble across a sandy hill covered with daisies and find the cement-covered well. Finally they spotted an unusual rock shaped like a bird. Bird rock! Cheered Anna, clapping her hands. Soon Michael discovered a tin box in a hollow spot at the base of the rock. Anna worked the cover loose and together they stared at an old wooden yo-yo. We finally found a treasure, shouted Anna. Michael was excited at her enthusiasm. Then they shared in the excitement. For the first time, he could see an old house the way Anna imagined it. Here's the map. So, how does this paragraph affect the plot? So the plot is what happens in the story. Michael and his sister Anna climbed the stairs to the attic. Their family had moved into the old house a week before. The porch sagged like a droopy smile and the window shutters hung like crooked teeth. Michael opened the door at the top of the stairs. Their mother wanted them to clean the room. He stared at the dusty boxes piled against the wall. Now, if the plot is what happened in the story, then the setting is where it happens. And this paragraph tells all about the setting and what Michael and Anna are doing. They're moving into a new house. They're seeing all the different things in the house. Figurative language. There's 3 types of figurative language on these tests: similes, metaphors, and idioms. Similes use like or as to compare two things, like peas in a pod, sweet as pie, and sparkle like a diamond. Metaphors, when you call something else. She is a fish, they were tornadoes at recess, or the snow was a blanket. And idioms are expressions. You're on thin ice, or that's a piece of cake. So read the sentences from the story. Anna kept dashing past him like a flash of lightning, clutching the treasure map in her hand. How does the author use figurative language? They show that she is very fast. She is like a flash of lightning. A simile. Alright, so these are prefixes and suffixes. Prefixes and suffixes. Prefixes go on the beginning of the word, and suffixes go on the end of the word. Prefixes are words like re, pre, un, mis, dis, non, and em. Suffixes are words like full, less, able, e, li, and ed. Finally, they spotted an unusual rock shaped like a bird. Since un means not un, unusual means not common. What is the meaning of unusual? Not common. Characters change during the course of a story. At the beginning of a story, Anna's excited about a map. You use this drop-down menu to choose excited about the map. But Michael thinks it is useless. So they're different characters. However, characters change at the beginning and end of the story, so later Anna and Michael decide that treasure hunting is exciting after all. Michael undergoes a change through the sequence of events or the plot of the story. Which detail does the author include to show that Michael cares about his sister? Michael opened his mouth to agree, but the words caught in his throat. His sister looked like a balloon after it had lost its air. Michael cares about his sister. He wants to gloat that, they didn't find anything, but he sees how sad his sister is, so he thinks, well, maybe I should help her. Maybe I should be a good brother. And that shows he is a good person. He is a good character. All right. The events of the story in the Beacon and the GMAS, you have to drag and drop. So first, Michael and Anna find a treasure map while cleaning the attic. Then Anna looks for the treasure by herself but cannot find it. Next, Michael offers to help Anna look for the treasure, so you drag that here. After searching together, the children find the treasure, and last you drag, Michael begins to feel happy about living in the new house. So drag and drop to put events in order. Paragraphs. Paragraphs are a group of sentences that are all about the same thing. All right, based on paragraphs 2 and 3, what does it mean to be practical? Now, I'm a third grader. Maybe I've heard that word, maybe I haven't. But this will be the perfect place to play games, Anna announced. She twirled across the floor, ignoring the spider webs. We can paint the walls yellow. They are full of cracks, Michael said with a sigh. Anna had big ideas, but he was more practical. Let's get the job done. So you see how Anna's excited, but Michael is more practical. He is reasonable about what's possible. He's thinking like, maybe this treasure thing is not such a good idea. Maybe we should do something that makes sense to me. He's kind of being a little bit boring, and she's being exciting. But at the end, he changes his mind. All right. Second story. Now this is a poem. Counting chickens. Leroy visits Grandma every Saturday. She is always prepared with a game to play. I like to compete, Leroy says. I strive to win. Me too, Grandma responds with a grin. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Grandma cautions as she finds the cards that perfectly match. Don't count my chickens, I don't understand, Leroy says as he sorts the cards in his hand. Not all eggs produce chickens. Patience is needed, you see. This idiom means don't celebrate early. You can play the game well and you think you will win, but you shouldn't assume victory before we begin. Okay, I think I get it, says Leroy happily. I'll do my best, but this challenge isn't easy. I will wait until I win to clap and shout. Grandma giggles, although it might be me who wins, no doubt. Leroy discovers a matching set and lays his cards down. Grandma raises her eyebrows, but she doesn't frown. She says, even if you win, I will never deny you are absolutely the apple of my eye. What is wrong with your eye? I don't know. Leroy shakes his head to and fro. You speak in riddles. What does this mean? If I'm your apple, am I red or green? Neither red nor green, nor yellow or blue. It simply means I'm quite fond of you. Surely you are aware it is not at all odd. I'm sure you and I are two peas in a pod. Oh, Grandma, there you go again. These strange sayings make my head spin. My classmates and I don't speak this way. We use uncomplicated words for what we say. Two peas in a pod means we match, much like these cards you wish you could snatch. Two peas in a pod means we match, much like these cards we wish you could snatch. Grandma lays a set of cards on the table. Who will win? Leroy asks. Are you able? I believe so, says Grandma. Winning is at stake. Here you go, she says. Piece of cake. Grandma lays her last two cards down with a smile. Game over, but we can play again in a while. Congratulations on your win, Grandma. If you say there is cake, I say hooray. Win or lose, a snack is always great. You'll get the forks, I'll get the plates. I'm afraid you misunderstood what I said, Grandma replies sadly with a shake of her head. There is no cake for us to feast upon. I meant that winning did not take a marathon. Oh, Leroy says with a shrug, I think I see. You won the game without difficulty. Maybe next time we play, I'll be the winner. Only next time we'll play a game with dice or a spinner. I thank you for spending your afternoon with me. Grandma hugs her grandson with glee. You bet, Grandma, your words are funny and I learned a lot. Then Leroy cleverly says, in fact, your idioms hit the spot. All right, so we're going to go over these questions that have to do with poems and poetry. So what is the meaning of the word cautions that is used in the poem? On the GMAS and the Beacon, you're going to have to figure out what words mean. Don't count your chickens before they hatch, Grandma cautions as she finds cards that perfectly match. Don't count my chickens. I don't understand, Leroy says as he sorts the cards in his hand. Not all eggs produce chickens. Patience is needed, you see. This idiom means don't celebrate early. You play the game well and you think you will win, but you shouldn't assume victory before we begin. What is the meaning of the word cautions that is used in the poem? It is answer D, gives a warning. Gives a warning. Stanzas. Stanzas are like paragraphs in poems. You have a group of lines together, and where they begin and where they end, there's a big break, a little space, and those are called stanzas. The first stanza and then the second stanza. Some poems are short and some poems are long. So which sentence best explains how the poet uses stanzas? The poet uses stanzas, letter C, to organize the conversation between Leroy and Grandma as they play the game. So think, Leroy visits Grandma every Saturday. She is always prepared for a game to play. I like to compete Leroy says, "I strive to win." "Me too, Grandma," responds with a grin. You see how they're having a conversation? So that's how the author of the poem is organizing it. What does the phrase, "your idioms hit the spot," suggest about Leroy? Well, hit the spot means something is good. It's correct. We like it. So he likes that Grandma uses idioms when she speaks to him. Letter A. Okay. Rhyme schemes. Now, with rhyme schemes, we learned about these last year in Lexia, but the first line of a stanza is letter A, and if it rhymes with the second line, that line is also letter A. So you see day rhymes with play, so we label these as AA. But then there's a new rhyme scheme, win and grin, so that's BB. So it's AA, BB. Now, if there had been a third rhyme scheme, or if it had been something different, then we would label those with perhaps C or D, but it's simply AA, BB. So the rhyme scheme in the poem is AA, BB, to create a fun rhythm that keeps the reader interested in the poem. Okay, AA. So the first line rhymes with the second line, and then BB, because the new rhyme scheme, the letter B, is immediately rhymed with the next one. Day, play, win, and grin. And just a reminder, in case you forgot, a rhyme is the ending sound of a word. All right? Complete the sentences by choosing the word or phrase from each drop-down menu that best describes Grandma's and Leroy's perspectives. Now, perspective is how they feel about what's going on in the story, their own point of view, their perspectives about spending time together. Leroy thinks that Grandma's use of idioms is confusing. Grandma thinks that Leroy has much to learn. Now you see how we're using those drop-down menus? That's what you have to do. You click it and you choose the right answer. However, both Leroy and Grandma enjoy each other's company. You see, that's what they have in common. So one of them is this way, and Leroy is this way, Grandma is this way, but the thing they're the same is this way. And you kind of use those words to figure out the one that makes the most sense. And, you know, that makes sense from the story because Leroy was confused. He was like, "Why are you saying all these weird words?" And Grandma says, "Hold on, you have to listen." And then they agreed, though, that they enjoyed playing the game together. So that's one thing they had in common. All right. So in the poem, how does Grandma most impact the plot? Well, her word choices lead to the problem in the story. Remember, she's using all those idioms, and Leroy's confused. And see, on the GMAS and the Beacon, you have to support your answer sometimes with a Part A and a Part B. Now, you have to answer both of these, not just Part A, but also Part B. So her word choices lead to the problem in the story. Well, which text evidence supports that? Oh, Grandma, there you go again. These strange sayings make my head spin. So the problem is he can't understand, and that quote shows that he can't understand. Say it, show it. Okay? So that supports the text evidence. Part A supported by Part B. And if you use the coach book that are free in the office, there's lots of Part A and Part B examples just like this. You can practice it right now. All right, purpose and target audience, okay? Now, a purpose means the reason someone is writing, and the target audience is for whom the story or text is written. So if I'm writing a text, my purpose might be, to entertain somebody or to inform or persuade them. But my target audience might be children, or they might be adults. It might be my friend. It might be Dr. May. It might be the President of the United States. It could be anybody. So The purpose is to entertain readers. A poem light about things. It's definitely not to inform or persuade. They're just having a bit of fun. Entertain means to have fun, and friends who are interested in trying something new, that would be the audience. I don't think it's really children who are interested in reading about other kids or grandparents. It could be about anybody, specifically friends who like games. They're interested in trying something new and having a bit of fun, and that's what games are all about. Fun. But that's usually what poetry is. It's a feeling, and I think the feeling in this poem is just a bit of fun. Using some words to play around with, and some poems are sad, some are happy, some are about love, some of them are about other things. But this one is about just having fun with your grandma. All right, so character traits and feelings. Okay, so in this one you have to use the checkbox to choose the characters' traits and how they feel. Like, tell about them, tell about what they're thinking. So Grandma feels grateful to have a visitor. We check that box, and Leroy feels somewhat let down that there is no cake to eat. But both of them feel excited that they could possibly win the game. So I think that these are fair answers and that they are supported by text evidence from the story. See, Leroy is not really thinking about his grandma at first. He's just kind of like, oh gosh, what is all this going on? But at the end, they're both excited to play something together. So that's what they have in common. Character traits tell about a character, and feelings tell about what they're thinking about the events or the plot of the story. All right, so here is the next story. It's all about sandcastles. This is a handmade sandcastle constructed on a beach in Brazil. Now this is called a caption. It's the words underneath a picture. Many kids spend hours playing on sandy beaches. Others enjoy playground sandboxes. Using pails, shovels, or just their hands, kids have fun building and destroying sand creations. Did you know that many grown-ups enjoy creating sand art too? These artists are called sand sculptures. Building a fort. Building a large, this says time and effort. Time and effort. It's hard to see the top of here. Time and effort. Building a large sand sculpture requires many hours of hard work. A sand sculpture starts with a huge pile of sand. It can weigh several tons. The sculptor takes the time to pack the sand tightly before carving. Then the sculptor carefully removes sand from the pile to create a specific shape. If a sculptor carves away too much sand, it isn't easy to put back. Materials. Any sand sculpture must have sand and water. However, not all sand is the same. When viewed closely, grains of sand from the ocean are often round in shape. These grains have rolled with the ocean waves for many years. Lake sand usually has sharper edges, which makes it easier to build tall sculptures. How does a sand sculpture stay together? Sculptures use a lot of water. In fact, every grain of sand must be wet in order for it to stick together. Karen Freilich, a sand sculptor, says in order to do a sand sculpture, the sand can't be just a soft, fluffy, dry pile. It's got to be a wet, solid brick that you carve into. Dry sand can crumble, so sculptors carry bucket after bucket of water to drench their sand pile. They also use spray bottles to mist their sculptures. Steps to follow. Most sand sculptors follow some simple steps when preparing to make a sculpture. 1. Stretch a plan or sketch a plan. 2. Smooth out the area of sand where the sculpture will be built. 3. Spray the sand in the area with water and pack it down. How does the sculptor build the sand sculpture? If the sculptor is using lake sand, large wooden forms are used. The forms are filled with wet, well-packed sand. This process continues layer after layer. When all the forms are filled, the artist carefully removes the top form and begins carving. The artist works from the top down. Many everyday tools are used to carve the sand. Now this is a wonderful, wonderful text feature that shows a chart with tools and how they're used. You can see buckets carry water with sand. Buckets with the bottom cut out make the main sand form. The plastic knife or fork or spoon, spatula, bowl, cup, they're used for carving or scooping and pounding. Pieces of string are used for shaving and shaping. Straws are used for poking around holes, and the spray bottle is used for keeping sand wet. Again, I apologize for not being able to read certain things. At the top, there's a recording box covering up the top, and at the bottom it's kind of cut off where you could probably see. When ocean sand sculptures cannot be built as tall as lake sand sculptures, they are still amazing works of art. When using ocean sand, sculptors usually start by making an outline in the sand. Then the sculptor adds wet sand inside the outline. The sculptor pats, smooths, and shapes the sand to create the masterpiece. Tools can be used to carve the form details. Sand creations do not last long. Waves or a gust of wind can cause the sculpture to collapse into a heap of sand. Mark Lepire, a sand and ice sculptor, says the best kind of art is temporary. Really, it is. You just get a new block of ice or some new sand and start again. Ready, set, sculpt. Where can you see a race car and a parrot made out of sand? A sand sculpting contest. Come and join the sand sculpting contest to see if you can create one of these beautiful pieces of art. A sculpture of a car can be made completely out of sand. Then there's some pictures that are on the Georgia Experience website. I cut them for the purposes of these questions to make it easier to see. Sand sculpting contest in the United States. Cannon Beach Sandcastle Contest. The contest takes place in Oregon. It is one of the oldest sandcastle contests in the country. All sculptors must follow the same rules. Use the sand they are given. Any decorations must be natural. For example, seaweed, shells, rocks, and sticks. No supports may be used to hold the sandcastle together. Sandcastle Classic. The contest takes place in California. More than 20 teams of students and adults work together to create huge sand sculptures. All the sculpting teams follow the same rules. Only handheld or human power tools can be used during the building process. No wood forms can be used to support the sculpture. No professional sand sculptors are allowed to compete. Sand sculpting contests are fun for all ages. No matter where the contest takes place, sand sculptures are sure to draw a crowd. So it looks like it'd be a lot of fun. I mean, I know this was a lot to read, but on the GMAS and the Beacon, you have to read what you're answering questions about, even if you have to go back to it. You know, it may take a few times. There may be, like I said, multimodal texts. There may be There may be videos, there may be pictures, there may be charts and graphs. These headings kind of keep you on track to tell you what you're reading about. Alright, so based on sitting through the science of sand sculpting, what is the relationship, how things are, related, how they come together, what they have to do with each other, between water and sand when creating sand sculptures? Well, water is needed to make sure the sand is sticky, so the sand sculptures will stay together. That's what you use to make the sandcastle. You use water so they kind of go together, the relationship. Okay? That's what that means, go together, or they have to do with each other. There's relationships between ideas. Definitions. All right, read the dictionary entry. I'm going to tell you what something means, but 4 ways to define it. Pack. To put things in a box, that's 1. To fill something completely, that's 2. To send away, that's 3. Or to press together, that's 4. Read the sentence from paragraph 2 of Sifting Through the Science of Sand Sculpting. The sculptor takes the time to pack the sand tightly before carving. Which definition of pack is used in the sentence? Definition 4. So you can see they mean to press together, pack it together. That's how you make a good sandcastle. So there's lots of ways you can use pack, but that's the pack they mean in this sentence. So that's certain words have the same sounds, but they can mean something differently based on how they're used. They're called multiple meaning words. Multiple meaning words. All right, purpose and effect. Which statement describes the tools chart in Sifting the Science of Sand Sculpting contributes to the overall purpose and effect? Remember, purpose is the reason. Effect is what it does. Purpose is the reason for writing. Effect is what it does to you, the reader. All right. Now, this, in case you forgot, is the tools they're talking about. I snipped a little picture of it to show you. So the purpose is to show how common items are used to create sculpture. See, purpose. And the effect is that the reader understands how creative they need to be. They need to carry the water, make the main sand form. They use all sorts of things that are, you might think they're just for your house, but they use them to make these beautiful things like cars and castles and wonderful, amazing art. Main idea. Now, we've talked about this a lot in class. The main idea is what a lot of things have in common, what the text is mainly about. So supporting details are what you read in the text, but what all the supporting details have in common is the entire point of the text. We call that the main idea. So the main idea of Sifting Through the Science of Sand Sculpting is it takes a lot of patience and practice to create sand sculpture. And that heading I kind of messed up at the beginning said time and effort at the beginning, so that kind of means patience. But if you read through the whole thing, you can tell that it takes these people a ton of time to make these huge, amazing, wonderful, like a car, that would take days. A whole life-size castle, or even one that was big enough to fit a small child in that was detailed, would take so much time and effort and hard work. I can't even imagine doing something like that on my summer vacation, but these people love it, and I commend them if you can make art in that way. All right, so text features. In Ready, Set, Sculpt, how is a text feature best used to present the information? I just put this here, kind of reminded you of the text features we look at, such as bold text, italics, highlighted, colored text, graphics, photos, and illustrations, bullet points, titles, subtitles, headings and subheadings, table of contents, captions, diagrams, maps, tables, charts, and graphs, and the glossary with definitions. But the one we're looking at is bullets, and by that I mean the little dots that kind of go with the text, that tell what rules that you have to follow for different sand sculpting contests. So they use that text feature to kind of help you understand what you have to do to enter this contest. You can't just walk on there and do whatever you want. You have to follow the rules. You have to be in the right place. You have to use the sand you're given. You have to you can't bring in your own. You have to use the stuff that's in the environment, like seaweed shells, rocks, and sticks, and you can't use anything from your house. So that's a pretty important rule, and they put the rules together with these bullet points, these little dots right here. See, dot, 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 to show you what they are. So that's called the text feature, the way the text is put together, with pictures and special, I guess, I would call it a tool too, because text features are kind of a tool to show you how to read the text, to keep it better organized. It's not the purpose for writing, it's not the structure of writing, but it is important when you're using nonfiction text that you understand the text better, because just reading words by themselves can give you a headache. But pictures and bullet points and all these things kind of keep you engaged with what you're reading. Alright, so suffix E-I-O-N. Read the sentence from Ready, Set, Sculpt. Any decorations must be natural. For example, seaweed, shells, rocks, and sticks. How does adding the suffix T-I-O-N to the word decorate change its meaning? Well, it changes it to a noun, because decorate is a verb. I want to decorate my house, but a decoration is a noun because it is something that is used to make an object look pretty. So it went from I'm decorating to decorating my house, or I decorate my house, to I have a decoration in my house. It went from a doing word to a thing. So that is how it uses, it changes from a verb to a noun. Decorations. And in this case, they're using shells, rocks, and sticks, and seaweed. Very creative to create those sand masterpieces. All right. So on the GMAS and the Beacon, you're going to have to click sentences. This is really important. I want you to notice the gray text at the bottom. It says, as soon as the tide comes in, the ocean washes the castles away. Select two sentences from paragraph 8 of Sifting Through the Science of Sand Sculpting. That's a tongue twister. They best support this sentence. Sand creations do not last long. Do you see how they, tide comes in? Do not last long. They go together. So I clicked that. That was the first sentence. And the ocean washes the castles away. Waves or a gust of wind can cause the sculpture to collapse. Oh, that's my other sentence. But these other sentences, you see how they're still white? See, I didn't click those because they don't have to do with washing away things. They just tell a little bit more about who said these things. So these two sentences are the best ones, so I click this one and I click this one, but I have to click both to get full credit. So the first sentence and the second sentence, I turn them gray and I go to the next question. All right, so an opinion. So consider the author's techniques in Ready, Set, Sculpt. We're going to support our opinion, or his or her opinion, in the text with two details. So what I would do in this question is I drag and drop the opinion. Now, I've already got the correct answer, but I want to show you how they did it. The sand sculpting contests are a popular way to create art. So I dragged this one under opinion. And then the two bits of supporting evidence are more than 20 teams of students. You see how that goes with popular? and no matter where the contest takes place, sand sculptures are sure to draw a crowd. That also goes with popular. So you see what the author is doing is they're asking you to construct their text for them by creating an opinion, but also the two, like we do Oreo, opinion, reason, example. So here is their opinion, right? And here are the two reasons that go with it. This is why it's popular. Oh, you don't believe me? Well, here's why it's popular. Here's some evidence showing. You see how it says opinion, supporting evidence, opinion, reason. Those are the Oreo that we talked about in class. Okay. All right. A student is putting together a multimodal, and now everybody say multimodal. Multimodal. That means more than one kind of text. You can have text, video, chart, graph, audio, pictures, anything that is considered text nowadays on the new GMAS, different from last year's GMAS. So they want to explain how caterpillars become butterflies. So remember, the caterpillars have a life cycle. So if they use the poster to show the life cycle and a video that explains the life cycle, those would be two great multimodal ways to learn that. The other choices, B, D, and E, didn't really have to do with the life cycle, so I wouldn't use them. I would only use the multimodal presentations that helped me understand about the life cycle. Posters and videos are great. We've made posters in class, and we can see that they're great ways to show it. We do watch lots of videos. Like a couple of weeks ago, we watched a video about habitats in Georgia, and I can't imagine a better way to learn about animals than seeing an animal in its habitat. So that's a great way to think about multimodal presentations, the different ways that we learn. All right, transition words. Those are words like first, then, next, and last. Finally, according to the text. So on the GMAS and Beacon, you're going to have to create text using drop-down menus. Now, alligators and crocodiles are both large, scaly reptiles that look very similar. As a result of them looking similar, you see, people often mix up the two different animals, but there is an easy way to tell them apart. Look at the snout. Alligators have a U-shaped snout, but you see how crocodiles are different? Crocodiles have a V-shaped snout. So they use those transition words to tell cause and effect as a result. And they used but to tell the difference between the two animals. All right, idioms. Now, as I said before, idioms are expressions. During the school carnival, the gym was a beehive of activity. A beehive of activity is like very busy. There's bees are busy. Children are busy. Teachers and parents collected tickets for different games, including a cakewalk, a ring toss, and a balloon race. Students raced around the gym like excited puppies. And you ever seen children? They definitely seem like excited puppies sometimes. They're very, very rambunctious in a gym at least. To take part in all the fun. They're having so much fun because they're playing the games. So these idioms are used to describe the feelings. That's what idioms, similes, and metaphors are about. They're figurative language meant to describe the feelings. All right? Sequences. So a student is writing a story about a boy who is making breakfast. Develop the story by moving the details into the chart into the correct order. So today, Jalen decided to make toast with strawberry jam for breakfast. First, he dropped 2 pieces of bread in the toaster. So the first thing we do is we tell what the story is about. You see, today, that's what's happening. First, he did this and such. He dropped the 2 pieces of bread in the toaster. Okay? While he waited for the toast, he grabbed a jar of tasty strawberry jam. But what happened next is he frowned when he noticed the jar of jam was empty. Okay? So after he frowned, he decided to use honey instead of jam, and it was just as tasty. And last, he quickly searched the cupboards for something else to put on his toast. Actually, that is wrong. You would say he quickly searched the cupboards for something else to put on his toast before he used honey instead of jam. I just caught that. So we had that in the wrong order. So that just goes to show you sometimes you have to put things in order, and you have to be careful at where you put them, because before he found the honey, after he found the honey, he discovered it was just as tasty. All right, constructing text. Move the sentence that best introduces the topic onto the blank line. Then move a detail that further develops the topic onto the second blank line. Butterflies are a valuable insect for our planet because they have an important job. Now, this is what we moved here because their role is as pollinators. You see the word role? The reason why I chose this one is because it goes with job. Role and job mean the same thing. You see, that's a good way to start the text. I'm constructing it. I'm building it, okay? Moving pollen from one plant to another allows flowers, fruits, and vegetables to produce new seeds. So the next time you see a butterfly, you'll know that it's helping to produce many of the crops we eat. You see, seeds and crops, those are also, that's the reason why I chose that. Since seeds create crops, that sentence goes there. So on the GMAS, you're going to have to drag and drop a lot of text into the correct boxes. So practice, practice, practice on that Georgia experience. Credible sources. Everybody say credible sources. Credible sources, credible sources. A student has found some sources while researching the following question. How did early American Indian tribes use nature in their everyday lives? Credible means telling the truth. Credible means that you believe it. Credible means that you look at it and say, you know what? I believe that. That's something I want to get information from. That's something that I trust. That's something that I should read or watch or look at. So, which two credible sources would provide the most relevant or the best information about how to answer this question using nature in your everyday lives if you were a Native American? An interview with a historian that tells how they built canoes from trees. Well, that's nature. Trees, nature, right? Trees and nature. Building, trees, nature. A chapter from a textbook that shows early Native Americans created from stone. Stone is also nature. So if they said something about trees and stones and canoes, I would definitely believe that was a good, trustworthy, credible source. Everybody say it again. Credible sources. Credible sources. You're going to see that on the GMAS. You're going to see that on the Beacon over and over. Often texts have more than one source, but they need to be credible before you can believe them. Credible, credible, credible. All right, giving an opinion. All right, so read the paragraph of the student's book report. Now, the author gave me so many clues throughout the story. The clues made me curious that I had to keep reading. I could not put the book down. Now that I know what happened to the camera, I cannot wait to read another mystery book. I think you will agree with me that mysteries are awesome after you read The Missing Camera. Now what they're saying here is you need to figure out what to introduce the reader's opinion with, or the author's opinion, I should say. And the best way to do it is to say, if you need a new book to read, I think you will enjoy The Missing Camera because it is the best mystery book I have ever read. That is an awesome introduction because it tells you the author's opinion right away. It tells them how they feel, and everything after it supports that opinion. But at the beginning, you just want to come out right out with, I love this book. I love cheeseburgers. I think it's great. There's lots of great ways to start your writing. I often do a question because that's an interesting beginning. But, if you're writing your opinion, you really want to get right at it. How do you feel? All right? So, effects. Effects means what it does to you, the reader, what kind of feeling it makes you feel. Read the stanzas from a student's draft poem. A sunny breeze warms my face while at the beach, my favorite place. A seagull lets out a soft high cry before flying into the cloudless sky. Which stanza should be added to the poem to maintain the rhyme and a calming effect? So we see face, place, cry, sky, and so we can see this is A, maybe BB or A, but we know the lines rhyme in sequence. So, and as ocean waves wash to and fro, I smile and feel all my worries go. So my worries are going away. I feel calm. I feel relaxed. And these two lines, fro, that means away, and go, they rhyme with each other. So I'm feeling relaxed. I'm having that good calming effect. I'm relaxed. I'm on the beach. I'm, chilling out and seeing all the seagulls, and that's a good answer to this question. As the ocean waves wash to and fro, I smile and feel all my worries go. All right, so there's lots of grammar questions on this Georgia Experience. I'm not going to show all of them. I'm going to show one because it has a drop-down menu. Those games we played last weekend were fun. Even though our team lost, I still had a great time. So you see those games, more than one in the past, last weekend, even though our team lost, it's a whole team together, so it's our team. I still had a great time. So I've been teaching grammar all year. I hope we can choose the best choice for our good grammar, which makes sense in the context of the story we're reading. And commas in a series. So to use these commas, you have to be able to put them in the right place. Commas separate parts of a sentence. So, dear Grandpa, I wouldn't put a comma here, even though there's a blank. That's a trick. We are learning about honeybees in science, comma, class. No. My classmates have a whole list of questions about how honeybees build hives, collect nectar from flowers. That's commas in a series. So that would be the third option. There's one comma that goes here, okay? And make honey. I know that you raise bees on your farm. Will you come talk to my class about caring for bees, comma, and collecting honey? That's another comma. I think they will love it. Sincerely, that's my closing, so I put a comma there. Sincerely, comma, Joseph. So those last three right here, and right here, those are where your commas. Actually, no, I take that back. I forgot about the date. November 11th, 2024 also would have a comma, so maybe not right here. They're not saying and collecting honey. November 11th, comma, 2024. That's right. I missed the date. Missed the date. All right. And constructing text. Choose the phrase from each drop-down menu that correctly uses a comma with a coordinating conjunction. When I get home from school, I can have a snack, but then I have to do my math homework. Later, I can play outside until dinner, and then I will, and then I do my reading before bedtime. So you just use the ones that use the commas correctly. All right, that's it.